The 2024 Kia Sportage PHEV is potentially the best value for a plug-in hybrid SUV right now, and comes in thousands less comfortably equipped compared to all of its competition. And so as far as the styling for the Sportage, well, the plug-in hybrid version looks identical. There's not even any different badging on the back or anything. It's basically the same as any other X-Line Prestige version of the Sportage here, but it looks really good. I already covered the regular 2023 Sportages when this new redesign debuted last year, and actually reviewed it in this same exact jungle green color, which is a really fun color and looks really sharp, though I think it still looks really cool up front there with those very extreme looking headlights. And then coming down to the sides and the back, you know, it's more rugged looking here than some of the other plug-in hybrid SUVs in this segment. You know, you still have the black body cladding here. It's a little more of a rugged look. Same thing goes for the rear bumper with the rear diffuser and all that. But overall, it's a really nice look. I love also the gloss black accents you have here on the roof rails and the mirrors and all that. And yeah, I think the Sportage just continues to look really good here, and I'm glad that the plug-in hybrid version doesn't look weird or anything. It looks totally normal. You'd never even guess it's a plug-in hybrid. And from the outside, the only way you can tell it's a plug-in hybrid actually is just by looking at the passenger side and seeing the extra filler cap there, which of course is for the charging port, and of course the driver's side has the gas one. So if you're trying to figure out if it's a plug-in hybrid, just see if you got two filler caps, then you know that it's the plug-in hybrid. The interior of the plug-in hybrid version of the Sportage is once again basically the same as a regular Sportage, and my wife and I did a full in-depth interior review on the Sportage last year when this generation first came out, and again, there's no new changes here really, so I'll go ahead and link that video at the end of this one if you want to hear all the details about the Sportage interior. There are a couple unique things here, like for example, you do get a standard panoramic roof here in all versions of the plug-in hybrid, so that's a nice touch. But if you go for the regular X-Line version of this instead of this X-Line Prestige that we have here, you will get a slightly smaller digital gauge cluster compared to the double 12.3-inch screens you have here in this. And the only other complaint I can say is that there is still no wireless Apple CarPlay or wireless Android Auto. That is something that Hyundai Group is adding here with many of their 2024 and 2025 model year vehicles. But the other unique things here for the plug-in hybrid, you'll see, of course, the gauge readout is a little different because it has a battery meter there, and we'll show you your electric range. Also on the infotainment screen here, you have a dedicated plug-in hybrid menu, sub-menu, and that, you know, allows you to set your charging schedules if you'd like and just monitor what the car is doing. You also have a button down here to switch from an automatic mode to an electric mode, or, you know, putting it into a dedicated hybrid mode if you would like. But aside from those couple of things, everything else is the same as a regular Sportage, which is still very nice. Again, these screens are very nice. I love this grayish green, you know, Synthex that they have here. It's not real leather, but feels very nice, just like real leather. I love the, you know, perforations and also the quilting you have here on it. And lots of space here in the Sportage, both in the front and in the back, and even in the cargo area. You know, it's a nice place to be for sure. Not the plushest in this segment, but, you know, still very nice. And so anyway, yeah, definitely check out that video at the end of this one if you want to hear all the details on this interior. But let's start up and go for a drive. The Sportage here has Kia's traditional key, which is a really cool key. I love the buttons here and the, you know, little trigger switch almost on the top there. A really cool key, and you know, a nice weight to it and some nice materials and just really nice. But anyway, of course, it is keyless access, keyless entry, push button start. So you just leave the key in your pocket, hit the engine start button, and especially here in electric mode, you know, all the boot up sounds happen, but it's going to be starting off most of the time in electric mode here and be totally silent. Alright, so setting off here in the Sportage plug-in hybrid. So usually whenever you start off here, it's going to default to the electric mode if you have any electric range. And I have a fully charged battery here, so it's defaulting to that electric range right now. And so totally silent, you know, cruising through a parking lot here. So smooth, you just hear the pedestrian warning hum slightly, but that's pretty much all you're going to be hearing. And that makes it very luxurious in here, you know. To not have the racket of an engine is a really nice, you know, perk and a little extra luxury feature that I think often isn't really talked about very much in plug-in hybrids. But also, you know, throttle response, braking is all nice and normal here too, which is another thing that other plug-in hybrids and hybrids in general sometimes struggle with, doing smooth braking with the regeneration that happens to recoup some of that energy whenever you're slowing down. But in this, it's flawless. It's really nice. Another thing is visibility is always really good here in the Sportages. You have a nice large windshield, nice thin A-pillars with a little window there by the side mirror, and good view out of the back. Just very easy to drive these. You also have the 360 camera here on this Prestige version, as that gives you even better visibility really all around. You also have, with the Prestige, the Smart Park kind of feature, so it can do remote park assist is what they call, to allow you to do parallel parking and all that, even with just using the key. So very high tech and all that, especially in this Prestige. They go a little cheap on the tech whenever you go for the base X-Line version of the plug-in hybrid here, and I'll get more into that in a few minutes. But I'm coming up to a stop sign here, and yeah, nice and smooth, very easy to be smooth with your braking and all that. And then starting off here, it's nice and responsive. Now, the one thing that I noticed, I've been driving this vehicle already a little bit yesterday, and what I can tell is that it has a hiccup every once in a while. It happened to me twice yesterday, where you are coming up to a stop and then you're getting back on the accelerator fairly quickly, almost like a start-stop system is being caught off guard, but there is no start-stop system here in this. You have the electric range that should always be filling in and giving you propulsion, but I don't know if there's a clutch disengaging or what, but there's twice where I went for the gas and I had to wait like 1, 2, I'm like, where is it at? And then it started going. It's rare, but the fact that it happens at all and that it doesn't happen in a predictable fashion makes me not have 100% trust if I'm trying to, get out into traffic quickly. Now, it only happened whenever I was in electric mode, so I'm assuming whenever the gas engine's going, you wouldn't have that delay, but just an odd thing. And this shares all of its mechanical bits with the Hyundai Tucson plug-in hybrid, which I reviewed a couple years ago, and that I never felt any kind of hesitation like that. There was sometimes a slow hesitation of switching over from electric to gas, but this wasn't even that. This was a separate thing. So not sure if it's just this vehicle or what, but on a test drive or something, be on the lookout for that. But I'm going to go ahead and put it up into the sport drive mode, which it does have. And that does kick on the gas engine. I did have the gas engine running previously here a little bit ago, so the engine is not cold, so we'll do an acceleration here on a warmed up engine, so we're not hurting anything here. But let's turn down onto this back road here and see how it does. And here we go. All right. And then in sport mode especially, it's really punchy. There's no waiting around. It just uses everything it's got to give you the most acceleration possible. And it's a good amount of punch. This is the fastest version of the Sportage, actually. 261 horsepower, 258 pound-feet of torque. That'll add up to a 6.9 seconds 0 to 60 time is what Car and Driver got. And it's pretty punchy. Now, this is certainly far slower than what you get with the RAV4 Prime, which is still the performance king in this segment. That has like a 1.5 seconds faster 0 to 60, over 300 horsepower. That's still going to be the one to get if you want to have something sporty or something with just the most amount of punch possible. But this is still totally fine. This does beat out some of the other competitors from a power standpoint as well. It's a little bit more horsepower when you get like the Mitsubishi Outlander plug-in hybrid, for example. I mean, it's really still nice and punchy, but I like also that in sport mode, it still will shut down the gas engine whenever you're coasting, so it's not needlessly burning gas. Yeah, and it's nice and responsive, even just that instant response from the electric motor there, combined with the gas engine doing its thing. And by the way, the gas engine is a 1.6 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. It's the only plug-in hybrid, again, outside of that Tucson, which again shares all of this, that uses a turbocharged engine. All the others just use a naturally aspirated one. So that means whenever you are relying on the gas engine, you'll have a little bit more punch down low compared to some of those others that might have to make a little bit more racket in order to get up and go better. And the other unique thing here about this, and again the Tucson as well, is that it runs a normal 6-speed automatic transmission, with all the other plug-in hybrids using some type of parallel CVT kind of variable system, which are a little bit mushier at times and just aren't as direct and traditional feeling as this, whereas this, even in electric mode, you can feel it shifting every once in a while. And so, I mean, I will say this is a rougher experience in some ways, and there's sometimes where, again, that handoff from electric to gas isn't perfectly smooth still, and so it's not going to be the most refined, I'd say, out of the bunch, but still is totally fine in my opinion. But anyway, can I have some corners here I always take? Let's see how the Sportage plug-in hybrid handles. So these do weigh about 350 pounds heavier than a comparably equipped regular hybrid version of the Sportage. So 350 pounds, I mean, that's something you're going to feel in corners here. Now, I'm in sport mode, so we have heavier steering and all that anyway. But you have 235 wide tires, Michelin primacies, nothing sporty or anything. And this isn't a sports car, so I'm not going to review it as such, but it's still flinging my camera gear around just fine back there. And it's still very nice and flat and composed and confident handling. I actually think, to me, it feels a little bit more stable, honestly, than the RAV4 Prime, which to me felt just like a little less sure-footed than this does. But I will say that the handling king in this segment still, in my opinion, is the Mitsubishi Outlander plug-in hybrid. That thing does like an aggressive, like torque vectoring kind of thing that really makes it just fly through corners, and you want to go faster on corners than that because it's so much fun. This, I wouldn't say encourages, you know, spirited driving around corners or anything, but it's you know, going to be totally fine for the average commuter. Very, again, confident, capable handling, and no complaints there, so I won't dwell on that much more. But yeah, curb weight for these is around 4,250 pounds, which these days, honestly, still isn't that bad. But again, 350-pound weight penalty compared to the regular hybrid, just keep that in mind. But otherwise, you know, everything else is really nice. You know, you have an independent rear suspension, and, you know, everything is all very good here in sport mode with the, you know, tighter steering and all that. But even whenever you take it out of the sport mode here, we'll go ahead and put it back into the normal mode, and there's actually no regular normal mode. There's only eco or sport or smart or snow. So eco is we're going to be in here instead. But even in that mode, you know, steering is nice and light, but you still have a little bit of engagement here with it. I, you know, have a little bit of feedback, and you know, it just feels really good. It's a very pleasant thing to live with here. Again, I already put on a bunch of miles, and you know, it's just a really nice thing to live with. Now, as far as the other component of living with this, the electric component, the main draw here of the plug-in hybrid, of course, you have a 13.8 kilowatt-hour battery, and it's quoted to do 34 miles of all-electric range. Now, whenever I left this morning with a full charge, it was telling me 32 miles of electric range. So it was already starting off a little bit under that. And also the thing about these systems, so I am in the electric mode here, but if you floor it, it still kicks on the gas engine. And that's different than like the RAV4 Prime, for example, and a couple of the others where they will stay in a dedicated electric mode even under full throttle. This doesn't. So, and I mean, most of the time it's powerful enough where it doesn't need the gas engine. I mean, I'm climbing a hill here at some reasonable speeds, and it's still doing it all electrically. So I would say, as long as you're not doing any demanding acceleration, you can completely treat this like an electric Sportage. But just know that if you do request full power or something close to full power, it is going to kick on that gas engine, and so you're not going to be able to have a strict, completely electric experience, again, like the RAV4 Prime and others offer. Yeah, I mean, it still is a good amount of punch. That is the one really nice thing, is, you know, most of my driving here I've been doing so far in the past couple of days has been electrically, and, you know, there's no sacrifice, there's no waiting around, and again, if it needs more power, it just kicks on the gas engine. I don't love that, because especially if you're going full throttle and that's the first time that day that you're kicking on the gas engine is for a high load, intense kind of situation. Not great for engine longevity, but you know, that's the way they decided to play it. I prefer doing it Toyota's way, where, you know, electric mode forces you to stay in that electric thing unless you deliberately turn it on yourself, in which case it usually has a little bit of a warm-up period first before it's going to, you know, give you huge revs out of the engine there. But you know, the good thing here is you do at least have still Kia's great 10-year 100,000-mile powertrain warranty, and there's also a warranty on the battery as well for, I believe, the same duration. So you know, everything is covered there, at least for those first 10 years. But yeah, I mean, otherwise, you know, it just always goes back to that electric mode whenever you're not demanding, you know, too much power, and it does a really good job here in that EV mode. And again, it's nice to also have a button to select, you know, if you want to save your electric range for later on, you know, you can do that. The only notable thing here is I don't see that it has any kind of a mode to generate electricity. Some of the other plug-in hybrids, including the Toyota and I believe the Mitsubishi as well, have a mode where it can actually just give you some charge back through the gas engine, and this doesn't do that, at least from what I've seen here. And now we're just cruising on the highway here in the Sportage plug-in hybrid, and I do have the highway drive assist system on, which gives you basically the lane keep assist system combined with the adaptive cruise control system here. Now, that is only in the Prestige trim. Unfortunately, Kia goes kind of skimpy on the standard safety tech here for the plug-in hybrid version of the Sportage, and all Sportages in general still, unfortunately. So, you know, you do have some of the main stuff is standard. So you have like blind spot monitoring, rear cross traffic alert, automatic emergency braking. Those things are standard. But even like just regular adaptive cruise control doesn't come on the base X-Line version of the plug-in hybrid here. And that is something that, you know, others do give you as standard, like the RAV4 and I believe even the Mitsubishi. So, you know, a little bit unfortunately nickel and dime you on that stuff. And if you you want more of the active safety stuff, that is also only on the Prestige here. So in addition to the adaptive cruise control here, you also have an intersection assist. So if it sees someone coming into your path, it can also do automatic braking that way. And you also have the blind view monitor only here in the Prestige, because that's the only one that gets this digital cluster. We're coming around a gentle corner here now. I'm going to see how it does with negotiating this, and just resting my hands on the wheel. In the past, the Hyundai and Kia systems haven't been the best and have crossed over lines in the past, which is to me like a failing grade. But this one so far is doing a pretty good job, and not really doing any ping-ponging or anything. And a lot of people really praise the Hyundai and Kia systems. Just around the windy highways I have here in southwestern Pennsylvania, it's a little more challenging than the Aero straight highways many others experience. But if you do happen to be in an area where they're a little more windy, so far this one's doing a pretty good job. But again, if you're on a straight highway, I'm sure it'll be totally fine and won't have too much of an issue. But yeah, so I mean, you just make sure that if you want all this extra safety tech, the 360 cameras only again on the Prestige. There's a lot of these extra features that only come with this Prestige. So I mean, it's about a $4,500 upcharge for this Prestige package, but you do get a lot of stuff in it, not only the safety stuff, but also a bunch of the convenience and luxury features as well, which I'll talk more about in a minute. But also out here on the highway, I mean, again, we're doing this all completely electrically. It is got plenty of power. It's almost by just maintaining speed on the highway, it's at some points even charging the battery, because I'm coasting down some of these hills and stuff. But you can do all of your driving completely electrically here, even on the highway, again up to potentially 34 or so miles, and then the gas engine has to help you out. But I mean, it's a really capable electric motor is what I'm trying to get at here. And so really well done there. And you also have the sure-footedness of all-wheel drive here in these, which is standard, by the way, in all plug-in hybrid versions of the Sportage here. So that's going to give you, all that extra capability that others like the Ford Escape plug-in hybrid, for example, doesn't give you, which that only comes in front-wheel drive. So, but yeah, a really nice highway cruiser out here. Now, as far as efficiency goes here for the Sportage plug-in hybrid, that's all going to come down to just how much you plug it in, your driving style, wide variety of factors. But as far as a reference point, Kia claims it gets 84 mpge, so you can use that to compare to others out there. But again, it all comes down, especially for plug-in hybrids, on exactly how much you plug it in, how long your commute is, how much you're using the gas engine. Again, if you never floor this thing and you drive less than 34 miles a day, you could potentially never use the gas engine. I'm sure at some point it kicks it on just to burn through a tank of gas every 6 months to a year or something, just so your gas doesn't go bad. But outside of that, it's completely electric, depending on just, again, what your usage case is. But then it's great to have that gas engine to keep you going as long as you possibly need to. But the last thing to mention here, though, is the pricing and how it compares to the competition. So as far as pricing goes, these start right at $41,000, including destination, for, again, that lower X-Line version. And this X-Line Prestige here is $45,640. And at that price point, like I said at the very beginning of this video, this is the best value as far as plug-in hybrids goes, at least as far as the MSRPs. Again, deals might be different, depending on where you're shopping and how good of a negotiator you are. But as far as just comparing window stickers here, this is the lowest price one for all of this stuff. Now, there's a lot of the others that do start right around $41,000, so pretty comfortable starting. But then again, with this one giving you all of this stuff for under $46,000, that's something that none of the competitors can match. The one competitor that I think is the strongest one, though, if you do want something to compare the Sportage to here, is the Mitsubishi Outlander plug-in hybrid, which I still really like to get. Better handling, in my opinion, a really fun to drive vehicle. Not quite as fast again, but still very impressive nonetheless. Now, those do start about $1,000 more expensive for the base one, and a comparable one is about $2,000 more expensive than this. But what you get for that $2,000, though, is a little bit more plushness as well. Now, the screen is smaller and all that, although that potentially is going to be fixed here for the 2025 model year that's debuting soon. But, it's a little more plush on the inside of the Mitsubishi, and also for about $500 more for the next trim up, so about $2,500 more expensive than this. You do get even like a simple, but still a massaging feature for the seat. The seats are also a little bit more plush and comfortable, in my opinion. And you also do get a tiny, but still a there third row that you can use in a pinch potentially. And you also get full leather, real semi-aniline leather there in that top version of the Outlander plug-in hybrid. And the synthetic stuff is all that you get here. That's the nicest that it goes. So, you know, that's just another key differentiator there. And the other key thing about the Mitsubishi Outlander is that, you know, again, deals will vary depending on a variety of factors, but generally it seems like Mitsubishi is pretty giving when it comes to discounts. You get bigger discounts, it seems, on those compared to all the other competitors, with some still even charging markups like RAV4 Primes in some areas. So Outlander plug-in hybrid, even though on paper could be a little bit more expensive, it seems like it's a safe bet to say that it most likely is going to be at least equivalent to one of these, potentially even coming in less depending on the deal and the discount there. Again, not fair to compare totally, but just want to mention Mitsubishi does a lot of discounts. And Kia and Hyundai, you know, might do some these days, but not as much, I think, as Mitsubishi. So that's why I think the Mitsubishi is the strongest competitor to this, because most likely very similar pricing, gives you a little bit more, again, aside from the fact that you do have a little less horsepower in that. Now, the other one is the Tucson, you know, which shares all the same mechanicals as this, so all that stuff is identical, just in a different wrapper there with the Tucson. And those are about the same starting price, but then whenever you go up for a comparable version, it's about $1,000 to $2,000 more expensive than this for a 2024. If you find a 2024, if you go up to a 2025, it's again about a $2,000 premium versus $1,000 for 2024 here. In 2025, the Tucson gets a really nice new interior and some freshened up styling on the outside as well, and so that you know, is another one worth considering, again, for a very close price tag, and same great mechanical. So if you like all the mechanical stuff of the Sportage, but you might like the different, you know, styling inside and out of the Tucson, another very, you know, good comparable one to this as well. And then, you know, the other big elephant in the room here is, again, the RAV4 Prime, which was the first on the scene here and is arguably, in my opinion, still, again, the most fun because it has the most power, has the punchiest amount of, you know, electric power, and also the highest amount of electric range, with those still doing 42 miles of electric range, so you have more of that electric driving than this. And again, it's more powerful. You can do full throttle highway merges and stuff in electric mode, no problem with that. But those are a lot more expensive. They start with cloth seats, which, by the way, you still get these synthetic seats here even in the lower non-prestige X-Line version of this. But so cloth seat RAV4 Prime is still going to run you 45 grand, basically the same as one of these fully loaded. And a fully loaded RAV4 Prime these days is like $52,000 or so, again, with all the same stuff that this has, basically. Maybe one or two other things, like that gives you a head-up display, which you don't have here in this. You know, minor other little things there. So there's a little more to the RAV4 Prime, but you're paying a big premium for that, and that's assuming you can even find one. I just actually went on Auto Trader, and there are, I think there's one SE for sale in the entire country that I saw new, and then there's no XSEs, you know, anywhere to be found, like literally zero. I don't know why multiple years into Toyota building those things, they still can't figure out how to build them in any kind of volume, or, you know, kind of respectable volume at least. They're super hot sellers. So that one's almost irrelevant, because if you can't find it and you can't buy it, and it's also super expensive. As much as I love the RAV4 Prime, it's just not a viable competitor these days, unfortunately, until Toyota figures out their production or chooses to build more if they're deliberately holding back for some reason. But just a shame, because I love that vehicle, but again, just not a real competitor, honestly. And then you also have, again, the Escape plug-in hybrid, which to me isn't a good value because it only gives you front-wheel drive, but yet it's still they still charge you the same amount of money as one of these. Again, maybe Ford will offer more discounts, but as far as sticker prices goes, the Escape gives you less for the same money, so not even, you know, a great competitor. But overall, you know, I'm just really impressed with the Sportage plug-in hybrid. It gives you all these nice features for less money than the competition, and even if you don't go for this prestige version, you know, 41 grand is a lot of car. Yes, you lose out on cooled seats and a heated steering wheel and the memory seats and one or two other features, but honestly, you know, I mean, even those are still a really solid buy and a lot of car for the money. And so, you know, if you even go for one of those, it's a fantastic value. But especially when you go for these loaded up ones where it undercuts the other loaded up competitors, I think the Sportage is definitely the one to beat, honestly, in the plug-in hybrid segment from a value standpoint, at least. And they did a really great job here, keeping the price low, keeping it really good still, and overall, yeah, definitely can recommend the Sportage plug-in hybrid. But anyway, let me know your thoughts on it in the comments below. Huge thanks to Kia for providing me here with this vehicle to review for you guys today. And yeah, thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.